Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another PlateUp tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be going over auto dishes, or many different methods of auto dishes. And auto dishes can start off very basic. It can start off with just a couple items that I would consider that you would help with automation. Now, for the demonstrations that I'm going to be showing you today, the different setups is you have your wash basin, you have a dishwasher. Mind you, dishwasher is the only sink besides the soaking sink, which we're not using for this demonstration, that you can't physically wash. You have to set it, it runs its course, and then it empties by itself, it opens by itself. You have your power sink, your starter sink, and then you're also your regular sink, which are pretty much the same thing, except this is a bit slower. But nonetheless, so basic automation. I'm just going to use the wash basin. The most basic automation you could have is something like this, right? So you're collecting your dirty plates. You put them in your wash basin. This would have to be, I'm not going to set these because you understand what this means. So you basically would set this to clean plates. You dump in up to 4 dirty plates. You wash them, and they'll automatically get taken and put right back on your pot stack. Like, this is the most basic. Now, the other way you could do this is you would not use it like this, and you'd have something like this, and you would use a dish rack, which would actually end up holding 4 plus 1 plus 4 more. This could hold a whole plate stack here, which might be wise to then have 2 plate stacks or to have it plus your starter stack. And it's all about automation. Like, this is automated. This here could be a regular grabber or a smart grabber set to dirty dishes. It doesn't matter in this case. When you're pulling it this way, it does matter, because if this is a regular grabber, as soon as the dirty plate gets put in here, it'll pull it out right away. The only issue with using smart grabbers is if they get reset, because you can lock them in practice mode, but you could very easily be washing dishes here and grab one accidentally and reset this to dirty dishes. Then say you have 4 dirty dishes in here that you have to then put all around your restaurant to put them in here. Now, if you have a dish rack, a spare dish rack, you could move them to there, and then you just pick a clean plate up and reset it. But anyway, this is the most basic automation you could have. A smart grabber to pull cleans out, or a regular or smart grabber to put dishes in, say, from a dish rack. This is the most basic. Now, you may say, okay, that's great, but how is that automatic? Well, it's not, in a sense. But you could add, say, something like this. And I mean, the restaurant layout I have is just the way it is. You can interpret what I'm doing here, I think, pretty easily. So the next step you could go here would be, you have auto feeding of dirties, you wash them, and you've auto feeding of clean plates back out, which would work quite well as well. And you may say, okay, that's great. And I mean, like I said, this could be a dishwasher. So when this gets full, boom, you run it, it runs its cycle, and automatically will pull out 4 or 1 to 4 clean plates. I tend to shy away from the dishwasher because you could accidentally, if this is open and you accidentally hit this, it will shut itself and run another cycle. And you could only have 1 or 2 dishes in here, and you could accidentally hit it, and it starts its cycle, and then you can't reopen it. You could also say you're putting dirty dishes into it like this, and you accidentally hit it. Again, it'll run its cycle, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I tend to shy away from these, but I will show you in a later, more advanced video, or like a part 2 to this, of how you can use dishwashers more effectively than just using one. Again, if this is a power sink, it'd be the same thing, except you could just do one at a time, but you basically would stand here, or on the other side, however your layout would be, and you stand here with your interact button, push down, and all you're doing is washing. You just hold the button down. And again, it'll pull it out one by one, but it'll still be faster one by one. But to have quantity, I would prefer having a wash basin. Again, this is personal preference. You could, again, you start out with your starter sink. You could start out with a simple automation just like this, or part of what I showed you before, just with your starter sink. And it would definitely help you eliminate either the putting in of dirty or pulling out a clean one, which can save a lot of time when you break it down. Now, you may say, okay, cool. Well, what happens about cleaning these off? I've seen lots of videos on people having auto dishes and dishes being pulled off of tables. How does that work? Well, For argument's sake, say this is set up like this. And again, this is a diner style setup, and that's basically just for ease of doing this guide. These tables could be set up back here. It doesn't matter. And you could be working in here. Two people work, one person doing serving, the other person in here doing the cooking. It doesn't matter. The setup is exactly the same. Now, as you see, all of the numbered tables are in a line. And the reason why they have to be in a line is because whatever table has the number on it. Now, to do this setup with just a single table will not work because you're going to be having a grabber here, which I'll show you in a second. Individual dining, of course, because basically these two would be turned off because they'd be grabbers here. This would work. But to have anything with more groups, to have essentially you could have up to two people here, two people here. Again, if you extend these tables longer, you could have up to 4 people, up to 6 people, depending on the cards you get and your table layout. But the key thing with all of this is you need to make sure you're grabbing where your grabbers are set up, which I'm going to show you in a second, are set up where the numbers on the tables are going to be. Because if you have it set up like this, you have it set up like this, what's going to happen is these plates will spawn here, these will spawn here, this will drag them to here, this will drag them through here, but this plate will not get picked up. Thus, no one will sit down here. Thus, it basically breaks your system. So one of the key things with any sort of auto dishes like this is to have your plate table set up properly. Now, let me show you with a bunch of grabbers here how this will work. So you basically have grabbers pulling like this. And as I said before, this is very modular. Say you only have a setup with 2 tables, or say you only have 1 table. You could start this way and then add on as you go. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, why wouldn't you use smart grabbers here? And the answer is you could. You could use smart grabbers here, of course. But the issue with using smart grabbers is if you reset this, if you say you have a plated dish of stir fry or steak, and you accidentally set it onto here, this will now be set to a plated steak. And you'd have to find a dirty dish somewhere to reset it. And say it's your first customer, you don't have any dirty dishes, and these people are, however the modular, I think you understand what I'm getting at here. So I would just use regular grabbers, because what happens if you end up putting something on this that you shouldn't, it'll just cycle through to the table that's here, and you could just pick it up by yourself. Again, if you have more advanced automation coming through here or something, then you'd want to have fail safes in place where you could actually grab something that's accessible in case you make a mistake. But for my opinion is set it up something like this. And as I said in the beginning is, okay, this is great. They'll all pile up here. And the answer is no, they will not. When plates are, and this is a good example. So if you have a table with 2, both plates will spawn on top of each other here. If you have a table of 4, all the plates will spawn at this table right here. But as soon as you start pulling them off of the table, just like when you start picking them up to wash them manually, they will not stack up. So you'll have one here, and they'll all just back up. But still, if you have, say you have a wash basin here, right? This is a pretty good setup because basically, again, normally you start off with 1 to 2 size groups. So we're going to do the demonstration off of that. Basically, you have 2 plates here, 4 plates, 6 plates. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3 plus 4. That's 7. This setup right now can clear all of these tables if they're 1 to 2 size groups. Now you may say, okay, well, that's great. What if you have more than that and you can't clear this fast enough? Well, you should be able to at this point. Again, if you have something like this, earlier in the episode, I showed you how to set something up this part. But this would be a nice, very easy, simple setup. Now, man, imagine all of these tables not saying 2, 3, 4. But it's kind of irrelevant to how many people are sitting is kind of what the gist is here. So as soon as you have 2 people and you have one person cooking down here or cooking over here, whatever, they're serving. As soon as the dishes are dirty, it's going to pull it right into the system. So as soon as you get 4, you stand here and you wash it and it'll cycle out and it'll pull 4 plates right back to your plate stack. Now, to go one step further here is you would put in a plate rack or a dish rack. Then the dish rack would go into, say, it could go into any of the sinks, as I mentioned before, except a soaking sink And I would shy away from using a dishwasher with something like this because it will back up and you're going to eventually run out of clean plates, or you're going to have to buy multiple plate stacks. And then you're going to have so many dirty plates set up here that it's just not going to work. Now, but this is a very modular or a very easy design. So say you have something like this. Let me grab a couple grabbers here. Again, this doesn't have to be a smart grabber. The smart grabber will be here. Let's just set it up like this. Right, something like this, okay? And then this could be a regular grabber or a smart grabber. Like I said, it doesn't matter. A lot of these are interchangeable, but for doing dishes, you have to make sure whatever's being pulled from the cleaning device has to be a smart grabber set to a clean plate. Otherwise, it'll set itself to a dirty plate and everything will be kind of a bit broken and you'll probably have to stop and start over. But here's a very prime example of how to really maximize your space, because this would work for a solo run for sure. You'd have your cooking down here. Like below this desk, there is space here that you could have all your cooking here. You could go through one whole stack of plates. When this is all done, you come over here with your wash basin or power sink or whatever you want. You stand here and you just run it through. If you have the scrub brush, which I don't have one here to show you, the scrub brush washes dishes at a 3x speed. So using that with the wash basin, it makes it almost as fast as using a power sink, and that's 4 at one time. Each one will cycle out. When these 4 are empty, the ones that are on the dish rack will cycle in. These will cycle back onto here. Now, I can only demonstrate, I have one rack of dirty plates here, but I can demonstrate slightly what this looks like. So let me go down here into practice mode. And basically, what you would do, as I would say, is you have to reset this. So we're going to set that. You might have to do it a couple times from a couple different angles to get it set properly, because sometimes it doesn't want to set it right away. There we go. See, sometimes it's a bit finicky to set it. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take these away just to show you that the plates will go back into the plate stack as I've been mentioning. So I have a couple dirty plates here. Say this table is finished eating. These are just going to cycle through. I'm just going to put all 4 of them here to show you what happens. They're all going to cycle in. And as you see, the only hiccup here is the way that the grabbers work. Grabbers cannot have 2 things on them at one time. So there's always a bit of a stutter step from this to another one. And that's just a game mechanic. So as I said, you have this set as a clean plate. You stand here and watch. We're just going to wash these. Again, if this could be a power sink, a regular sink, it doesn't matter. And watch what happens. It automatically will cycle them and take them off. And like I said, it's one by one because of the way mechanics work. Is this conveyor belt has to be completely clear before it will grab something else. And again, just to demonstrate how this looks, well, actually, you can't do it this way. But okay, so I'll go back 2 seconds. So as I said before, is if you use your regular grabbers and you make a mistake, say you place something on here that's a plated dish, you're like, oh no, I'm going to try to grab it, and you can't pick it up. It's moving too. What's going to happen? It's going to go and it's going to sit right here, because a dish rack can't hold anything but a dirty plate. So this is a foolproof way. Guess what? You come over, you pick up the plate that's cooked, you reset it back to this table. Say you couldn't do the corner grabbing properly, and you have another chance without breaking your whole entire system. And as I said, this could be the wash basin, this could be the power sink, starter sink, it could even be the dishwasher. Which again, it will work, but you have to make sure you have extra plates. Because if you have 4 plates in here in the plate stack, or in the dish rack, and you have 4 plates in here, that means this has 0 plates. So you're gonna have to wait for both cycles, and that's a significant amount of time waiting for this patience to go down while you're trying to get dishes cleaned. It is viable, but again, dishwashers are 120 coins compared to a power sink and wash basin, which are only 60. And obviously your starter sink is free, and your regular sink, I believe, is 20. But that's a 1x speed cleaning. But again, these should all be used interchangeably. The method is the same. And this is probably the best way I could show you to have not a lot of materials. If you have a copy desk and you're copying grabbers, or you said you only need one smart grabber. But again, these could all be smart grabbers. As I said in the beginning, these are the ones that are between the tables or pulling from the tables that I would recommend not being a smart grabber, because if you accidentally reset that, like if this is a smart grabber here and you accidentally reset this to something and you have a backlog of dirty plates, how are you ever going to be able to take them? Because this will go on here and like it'll just, it could be very bad, so to speak. So I recommend using regular grabbers. They cost the same as a smart grabber. They're 60 coins. Conveyor belts, regular conveyors also cost 20. But for this setup, you couldn't use a regular conveyor because all of these are using the grab and push action. A regular conveyor only does a push action. But I want to thank you guys for watching. This would be my, I'm going to end the video here. And as far as this is how you would auto do dishes. The only non-automatic thing would be standing here and watching these. But if you have 2 or 3 people here, you could have, say this person's up here making soup or making sides, putting them into a frozen prep right here or something. They don't even need to access this part of the kitchen. They could be standing here. As soon as these dishes get backed up, they stand here and they just do dishes for about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, so they're all clean and washed, back on the prep. The cookers and the servers are serving, and then you rinse and repeat. So I'm going to end it here. Please stay tuned for, I guess you would say, part 2, which would be an even more advanced, definitive, 100% auto dishes. And that uses what you probably are guessing, soaking sinks.